What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Prep Rally Podcast, your go-to huddle for high school sports action in Northwest Arkansas and the River Valley. I'm your host, Sydney Ruth.
We've got the highlights, the hype, and of course our Gimme 5 and Top 5 where we count down the top athletes of the week in the River Valley and in Northwest Arkansas. I'm Graham Thomas. Leland Barclay joins us in the River Valley. Sydney, let's do this.
Whether you're listening on the way to practice or sitting in the stands, we've got something for every high school sports fan. Let's kick it off with this week's biggest wins and wildest finishes as we reel it back.
All right, we're back on the Prep Rally Podcast. Oh, Sydney, what a week we had for high school football.
Your Fayetteville Bulldogs lost.
I'm telling you though, and we're going to get to that in just a second. What a game that was. What a number of different ways it could have gone, and how it ended is just, it's all kind of still hovering. I've still not recovered from that one. I've been thinking about it all weekend. So we'll just jump right into it. I mean,
Jeez, you're getting
yeah, I just kicked all the equipment down here. So
yeah.
So we have a final score here of Rogers 56, Fayetteville 55, and Leland, jump in here at any time because I know you were wanting to talk about this one as well. Essentially, this was the situation. Rogers was up 21 points on Fayetteville, and the short story is if Rogers is able to field an onside kick, I think Rogers wins by 14 or 21 points. Rogers was not able to field an onside kick. Fayetteville got back in the ball game. Eventually, it was 49-49 with about 3 minutes left. The Mounties get the ball back, and Jeff Regan, at that point in the game, Fayetteville had really started to key in on Jeff Regan. And so what did the Rogers offensive coordinator, Nick Brill, do? Throws it right over the top to Xander Burke, who went 40 yards for a touchdown. The Mounties took
bada bing in the end zone.
Yeah, Mounties took a 56-49 lead. Well, now they got to kick off to Fayetteville. There's about a minute and a half left. Fayetteville gets the ball and, of course, takes it right down the field and scores. Hank Hendricks, y'all, I'm just telling you, he's the real deal, Sydney. I mean, he's really good. He's just a junior. He's going to be really good next year. Fayetteville scores. The score is now 56-55 with a point after touchdown coming. There's only 26 seconds left. I thought Casey Dick was going to go for two. He had the offense on the field, and then kind of at the last second he pulls them off, sends out the kicking team, and Rogers blocks the kick.
It's one of those coulda, shoulda, woulda moments.
And I told Chad Harbison this. I told Casey Dick that I think if they had gone for two, they probably would have gotten it.
I think so as well because
momentum,
They beat Broken Arrow that way, so I thought they would do the same here. But
that was in overtime. And so Casey said if it had been overtime, we would have gone for two. But
I think you should always go for two. I'm just going to hype on my team here for Notre Dame. But
Notre Dame?
Against the Hogs, I will say, it's just, the competitiveness of your team when you're so confident to go for it on 4th and 1. I just think Fayetteville is that team where I've seen them make that 2-point conversion before. And so I was surprised they didn't go for it. I thought.
Well, there were 26 seconds left, so maybe he thought, well, if we go for it, then Rogers will still have 26 seconds to work with. And I don't know.
I just don't think you hesitate in those moments. I was pretty confident that they would just punch it in. So.
Well, and then there was a little bit of controversy about that blocked extra kick. I think the Fayetteville coaches felt like the Rogers players leaped over the Fayetteville offensive line, which is illegal. You can't do that. I've not gone back and watched the clip. I was on the field at that point, and I had a kind of a back angle look, and I kind of thought maybe they did too.
Is there instant replay in high school football?
There is not.
Yeah.
There is not.
Well,
and in the state championship games, there are.
Okay.
But
well,
that's it.
The officials huddled over it, and They didn't call anything. So the kick stood as a block. Hunter Dickey blocked the kick for Rogers. But Fayetteville still had another onside kick to go, and this time the kick went out of bounds. Rogers got the ball. Jeff Regan took a knee, and it was over. That was Rogers' first win in Fayetteville since 1994. Thank you for the research on that, Leland. I actually beat Fayetteville at Razorback Stadium that year. I couldn't imagine why they were playing at Razorback Stadium, but
They used to play their home games at Razorback Stadium for a pretty good span there.
okay.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that is pretty cool. So,
But and as far as the 2-point conversion, the kind of the rule of thumb for that is teams play for ties at home because they're still at home. Play for the tie, go in overtime. On the road, you play for the win. So there's kind of that too. Now obviously they've got some momentum going, but that rule of thumb is kind of you play for the tie at home, win it in overtime, play for the win on the road.
So, some takeaways just from that one. I know we're kind of really hanging on this one. It was a huge matchup. One, Rogers has a really good offense. Fayetteville couldn't stop him. Two, I think the Mounties are better defensively, but again, those onside kicks really cost them. Like they had kind of gotten a little bit of a gap, but when you start onside kicking and score onside kick score, momentum gets to be a really big thing there. But my biggest takeaway is this. I picked Fayetteville to win the conference. I don't think that's going to happen now. I think I picked them to go to the state championship game too, and that absolutely can happen. They are really, really good on offense. The combination you have with Hank Hendricks, Kenyon Johnson, the receiver, Katavian Taylor, another really good receiver. If those guys get going, and if they can get Caleb Johnson back, he went out with an injury early in the game.
I will tell you much. I brought it up so many times, but that kid's tough.
He's a tough kid. He went out early, but Fayetteville's just as capable as anyone. So they're sitting 0-2, and no one's going to feel sorry for them, but I wouldn't want to run into them in the playoffs. I'll just tell you that. So, great win for Rogers, tough loss for Fayetteville, but we still have a lot of ball to play.
Yeah, I think they had a lot of coulda, shoulda, wouldas in so far this season, but I think we'll see him bounce back by the end.
And we've got
and that was a big time matchup, and I don't think we can overblow the fact that it was a big win for Rogers because we've been talking about Rogers getting over the hump and winning a big game, and that was a big game. Obviously, the first time to win at Fayetteville since 1994. That's amazing. 1,145 yards of offense in that game, 603 of it by Fayetteville. Hank Hendricks, 35 of 47, 464 yards passing and 5 touchdowns. And then Jeff Regan, 27 carries for 267 and 3 touchdowns for Rogers. Wow, that had to be an exciting game. Unless you're on deadline and you keep looking at the clock like you probably were, Graham.
that was a lot of, I don't know if you've ever watched me score a football game, but I count it all up at the end. I don't do a running total. I'm just not that talented. So that was a lot of math and a lot of figuring up there in the late hour to get it all, settled in, Leland. And, over 1,100 yards of offense is a lot of offense. And, I'm a big pitching and defense and running game kind of guy. So, it was a fun night. I'll just put it that way. You mentioned, the Rogers getting over the hump. Well, there's another hump waiting on them this week, and we'll get into that.
Well, Bentonville had their 100th win with Jody Grant.
Yeah, it's kind of amazing. It seems like he just took the job, but it's been what, Leland,
Well, maybe
10 or
for
11?
you, but that's like half my life.
I've known Jody Grant, for 20 years, and he was an assistant when I first met him. So. For win number 100, that's really speaks volumes. They soundly beat Fort Smith Northside. Congratulations to Jody Grant on that. Bentonville West beat Springdale in a kind of what Brian Pratt has called the revenge tour, and they're just kind of going on tour, and we'll talk about that some more. He got win number 150, by the way, so good for him. We're just going to kind of scatter over some of these. Shiloh Christian with a big home win against Mountain Home. That was a a lot of offense in that game. Leland, Fort Smith, Southside with a big win over Lake Hamilton. A lot of offense in that game. And then Mansfield and Mansfield and Charleston, Leland, you were at that game. Another spectacular game. I'd like to hear some about that one.
Well, that one was, like I wrote, it was kind of a tale of two quarters. Mansfield recovered the opening kickoff, a fumble by Charleston. They go down and score. They intercept a pass, go down and score, and it's 16-0. And I'm thinking, wow, Mansfield's kind of cruising at this point, even though it's early. Well, then the second quarter was exactly the opposite. Charleston answered Mansfield's second touchdown. They go down to score, make it 16-6. They missed a 2-point conversion try. Well, then Mansfield fails on a fake punt. Charleston scores. Mansfield goes for it on fourth down. Charleston answers, and they're up 20-16 at the half. Based on defensive plays by both teams. But then Mansfield came out of the second half, put together two just really methodical drives. 6 plays, 24-20. 8 plays, 8-play, 90-yard drive. They go up 32-20. A pair of touchdown runs by Andrew Burton, and kind of put the game away. Now Charleston scored late, and you look up at the scoreboard at the end, and there's a 5-point differential in that score, which, as we know, in tie-breaking situations, that can be big because Mansfield still has to go to Boonville, and we've talked about, probably ad nauseum about the big 3 games in the 3A1. So we'll see if that 5-point, that late touchdown by Charleston ends up, mattering, because Mansfield, Boonville, and Charleston, they could all win those games at home, and then it would be very interesting. But Mansfield takes the early prize for the big game with a 32-27 win over Charleston.
All this offense, Sydney. I mean, we need to order in coffee or something. My eyes hurt after just looking at all these numbers, and I'm a numbers guy. Just a really fun Friday night, and not enough weekend to kind of recover it all. Daughter's birthday and all this weekend. So, Leland, did you want to add anything about Southside with that win over Lake Hamilton? That was huge for them.
That was a big win for them. That was one that they really had to have, especially coming back home. That was their home conference opener. Malachi Warren, the transfer from Northside, had a big fumble return of a 22-yard fumble return for a touchdown. That kind of was the, Harold McIlvain wrote in our recap, that was kind of the play of the game that kind of spurred them to that 49-44 win over Lake Hamilton. And like you said, again, for a lot of offense, but like in the Mansfield-Charleston game, defensive plays kind of, were the difference. Malachi Warren's return of a fumble was a big play in that one.
My apologies to all these other games that we just weren't able to kind of hit on this week. I mean, it's just –
that's okay.
There's a lot, and I'd encourage anyone who wants to go back and get a good recap, go back and read the Saturday paper and even the Sunday River Valley Democrat-Gazette. I mean, there's a lot of great high school coverage in there.
Well, with that being said, we want to thank our sponsor for today, West Termite. Take control of your pests with West. Whether it's termites, mosquitoes, bed bugs, weeds, or lawn disease, West has the experience serving Arkansas, Missouri, and Oklahoma since 2003. Book your free consultation online today at westtermite.com. Come on, Leland, say it with us. We're a trio today.
All right, 1, 2, 3. After all, West knows pests best.
Best.
Yay! We'll see everyone when we come back. Welcome back to the Prep Rally Podcast. All right, gentlemen, we're going to get into some upcoming matches and predictions.
Well, let's just keep it up here in Northwest Arkansas to start off with. It's Rivalry Week in Springdale.
Yes, it is, Graham, and I'm so glad you bring that up because we have a new episode of Prep Rally Road Trip coming out soon, and it is the Battle of Springdale. Har-Ber versus Springdale. We're covering both teams in this special edition, so You're going to want to watch it.
Well, so Springdale visits Har-Ber on Friday at Wildcat Stadium.
Which you will
And-
see in our Prep Rally Road Trip video.
Both these teams are 2-3, I believe. Both 1-1 in the league. It's not the maybe the best matchup overall, but still a huge game for both of them, and a lot of emotions now. Springdale.
Hey, no matter the record of either teams, and this can be anybody, a rivalry is a
That's right.
rivalry.
Whether it's the Battle of Bentonville, Battle of Rogers, Battle of Fort Smith, Rogers Avenues, and
LSU versus Arkansas, if you know.
Well, we're not going to go there, are we?
I want to go there.
Well,
Go Hogs.
let's.
For anyone that doesn't know, Graham is a LSU alum, so.
Now the cat's out of the bag. I think most people knew that anyway, though. But
Did they? Well, now
hey,
they
we're
know.
talking about Springdale here, so that's a great matchup. Leland, I mean, I know you can speak to this from the rivalry standpoint. It's not a very old rivalry, but it's a very intense one.
Well, it's about 20 years now, so there's plenty of history. That's all these kids know. They've grown up with this rivalry, so it's of course big. It's a intra-city rivalry, so of course it's fantastic, and it's going to be big for playoffs too.
These are the moments where I think are so humorous because Leland goes, "Oh, very short time rivalry." When I'm over here, like, "What are you talking about? It's the longest rivalry I know."
Well, but back in the day, the rivalry used to be Springdale versus Fayetteville, the Battle of the Bulldogs, right?
It
And I
still
think
is
that
Battle
still
of the
it
Bulldogs,
still is a big
yes.
rivalry, but when and just like how Bentonville and Rogers used to be the Battle of Benton County, but and it still is a big one, but it's not as these areas have expanded, it's just not what it used to be.
Yeah.
So big battle there. Over in Rogers, we talked about the getting over the hump. Well, now the challenge, as Chad Harbison says, if you win a big game, then the next game becomes even bigger. Now they got to deal with a really good Bentonville West team on Friday. It's going to be homecoming at Rogers. How about at Fort Smith Southside? They are going to be hosting Shiloh Christian. And we're gonna see what Southside's made of. This is a game they need to win if they want to be in that top 2 in the conference. Over down the road at Van Buren, they're hosting a Lake Hamilton team that just scored 44 points on Southside, so they're going to be very capable. And then Leland brought this up. We were on the phone on the way over this morning, and he talked about the big 5A West matchup, Farmington at Greenbrier. What a huge matchup that is, in one of the best settings, I think, in all of high school football in Arkansas. So, I mean, we're not short on big games this week. There's a lot to talk about here.
Middle of the season, it's expected.
Now, Leland, did you want to hit on any of these? I mean, there's just for you for sure, you're going to be at the Shiloh Southside game this week, and I think that one just has offense written all over it.
Yes, that could be. I mean, that's a big game for both teams. Both teams are very good offensively. Both teams have star power, which is big. Both of them have good quarterbacks, good receivers. It could be that could be a really exciting game. Lake Hamilton and Van Buren, that's another big game. Van Buren's off to a 2-0 start in conference play for the first time since the late 90s. So that's a huge game for them to be able to go to possibly 3-0. But the game of the week, I guess there's really two big games of the week. The biggest game of the week is Farmington at Greenbrier. We've talked about the big 3 games in the 3A1 between Mansfield, Charleston, and Booneville all year. Well, it's now in the 5A West. It looks like Greenbrier, Farmington, and Morrilton are the big 3 in the 5A West. And man, Greenbrier can take a huge step forward because they've already beaten Morrilton. So this would put them at 2-0 in amongst those, 3 teams. So I think you can probably, if Greenbrier wins this game, I think you can call in the dogs because the hunt's over in the 5A West.
Well, I want to give.
We talk about the 5A West when we talk about successful programs in the state. One of the main ingredients is coaching stability. And I know Tom Tice has not been at Farmington very long, but he's coached more high school football games than anybody in the history of Arkansas high school football. So obviously his veteran leadership is big. Then you talk about Randy Tribble at Greenbrier, been there a long time. Cody McNabb at Morrilton, another longtime coach at his alma mater. So this game just reeks of big time football, and it's going to be kind of the two of the best players in the state is Greenbrier's Enoch Hassan, a running back who's leading the state in rushing. And of course, Farmington now has Aiden Lester back. That's just a gigantic game.
Well, let's just go into some picks then, shall we?
Well, real quick, I wanted to mention, and we'll jump right into this picks, but you mentioned Morrilton, and I want to give a shout out to the Alma Airedales because they had gotten, beat pretty bad the last 2 weeks going into their game at Morrilton last week. Really played, Morrilton to a really good game, had a chance to win at the end. You can't ask for more than that. I know the Airedales they're 1-4 and 0-2, and they're struggling, but man, they're not giving up. So what a great effort there from them. So, yeah, who you got? We're talking about Farmington Greenbrier. Let's just start off there, Leland. Who you got?
I got to go Greenbrier at home for all the above reasons. Nobody has stopped Enoch Hassan this year. And now, I'm sure if we go back and talk to Coach Tom Tice about some of the great running backs that he's faced in his illustrious career, he's faced some really good ones. So he'll have some really I'm sure some strategic plans to throw at their running game, but their quarterback kind of adds a different dimension or an added dimension to them too. And I just think they're too good, both offensively, running the ball and passing the ball. I think Greenbrier wins at home.
Sydney, who you got?
Can I just say my full list?
No.
Why?
I don't know why you would want to, but
Okay, I'll go with Farmington.
I'm gonna go Farmington too. I've learned to not bet against Tommy Tice or Aiden Lester at any point. They seem to pull these kind of games out, so I'm gonna go Farmington on the road with the big win. Lake Hamilton at Van Buren. I'll start us off on this one. I'll tell you what, man, Van Buren's playing really well on offense. They're coming home. I don't expect that to change. Give me Van Buren. Sydney, who you got?
I'm going to go Van Buren as well.
Leland, who you got?
Yeah, I agree. I think being at home, they have a lot of momentum going right now. They're doing it on the ground and through the air. So I think that balance, I think Van Buren goes to 3-0 in the 6A West.
All right, 6A West. Shiloh Christian at Fort Smith Southside. Who you got, Sydney?
The lore is just going to get deeper that I am not a Shiloh stan, which is not true. Love you, Shiloh. See that heart? That is my love for y'all. But I have to go with Southside.
Woo! Give me Shiloh Christian to find a way to keep things rolling in a very high-scoring affair. Leland, who you got?
I think Southside at home, they're playing well. They're doing it with offense and they're doing it with defense. Ethan Dunn and Malachi Warren's the best linebacker duo in the conference, and I think they have a big say in Friday night's game. Southside wins at home.
Wow, what a game that's going to be. Battle of Springdale, Leland, keep us rolling here. Who you got?
Well, I've got to go Har-Ber here. I think they're more, just the balance that they have. And I like their quarterback a lot. Bryce Owens is having a big year, and I think they've overcome the loss of Titus Kramer on the ground. And I think Har-Ber wins this game.
Well, I love me some Brett Hobbs at Springdale High and Aaron Dannenhauer. You just love both those guys. I'll tell you what, though, Springdale Har-Ber at home, coming off of a win. Give me Har-Ber. Who you got?
I'm going to have to say sorry to our producer, Diana. She's a Springdale alum. I'm going to have to go with the Team Dinosaur, the Har-Ber Wildcats. At media, this is...
Got to play the clip.
Yeah,
You got to play the clip.
You'll see it. Coach Dannenhauer being a dinosaur at Media Day. So I have to go for that because his dinosaur impression was just so much fun.
So we'll play that clip right now.
Oh my God! No! Was that you? Was that me? I came this way.
We need to do...
Oh my God!
That's an interesting way of giving your pick. I like that.
Yeah,
the
well,
dinosaur.
I just kind of, we're covering both teams in the next road trip episode. So it's not an easy pick for me because
No.
we're getting to know both teams. And so,
Makes it really hard, doesn't it?
yeah, so I based it off of their performance at Media Day.
So, and our last game was going to be Bentonville West at Rogers, and I was kind of perusing myself on Instagram on Prep Rally the other day, and I get this video of Brian Pratt doing the dancing and at Media Day. I'm like, man, he's just a fun guy to be around, and Chad Harbison, at Media Day too, and you really like both these guys. So, Bentonville West at Rogers, Sydney, who you got?
Again, I'm going to have to give it to Coach Pratt's dance moves. They were pretty elite, so I'm going to have to pick Bentonville West on that one.
Leland, where are you going on this one?
I tell you, I just don't see Rogers coming off one of the biggest wins in recent Rogers Mounties football history. I just don't see them losing the momentum from that game. And I think Rogers carries that forward and wins against a very good Bentonville West team. I mean, how about the two quarterbacks in this matchup? Wow. But I just think Rogers keeps the momentum going and wins.
It's going to be fun. I talked to both the coaches yesterday, and Brian Pratt's kind of labeled. At this point last year, Rogers at Bentonville West. Not only did they beat Bentonville West, they mercy ruled them at the half. I mean, it was stunning. It was a 38-3 ball game.
Yeah, but this is a different Bentonville West team.
And I agree. And ever since then, Bentonville West has turned the corner, so it may have been a good loss for them in the long run. It wasn't a good night that night. But, Brian Pratt, that was their 0-6 start. And Brian Pratt has kind of labeled this their revenge tour to start the year. Now, they didn't get the revenge over Greenwood, but they've gotten everybody else since then.
Well, they were close, and it makes sense why he was so confident with his dance moves on Media Day, okay? Like, he knew what was coming.
All that being said, I'm kind of with Leland. I'm going to go with Rogers at home in a close ball game, maybe even another blocked extra point, to win this game, but another just Rogers over Bentonville West. That's who I got.
Well, before we get into the Gimme 5, we want to remind everyone that the NWAonline.com and River Valley Democrat-Gazette are the premier spots to get all the latest news on all high school sports. Additionally, you can follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Prep Rally Sports, where we show exclusive interviews with players, coaches, and fun little videos like Coach Pratt from Bentonville West dancing. And
now we got to play that one. It's so good. Like, it just, he's got such great rhythm.
Well, enjoy that. And when we come back, we'll do our top 5 and Gimme 5.
Hey, and we need to be in the back doing like this.
All right.
I'm about to just do something random.
Yeah.
This is definitely being on Bentonville Barstool.
I can't wait to post it.
Bro, hold on. Let me get it.
Okay.
Hold on.
Hi, I'm Andrew Burton. This is the River Valley. Give me 5.
These are the top 5 performances in the River Valley last week. We start over the line in Oklahoma, where Sallisaw went to Broken Bow and won 40-30 on Friday night. Broken Bow is a hard place to win, and to go on the road and win at Broken Bow is a big deal. Junior quarterback Case Adams was 16 of 18. That's almost 90% for 154 yards and 2 touchdowns. He also ran for 84 yards and 2 touchdowns, and he also caught a 2-point conversion pass. Number 4, Peyton Zimmerman, senior receiver for Southside, in a 49-44 win over Lake Hamilton. Caught 6 passes for 104 yards and 2 touchdowns. That gives him 4 straight 100-yard receiving games. That's the first time in Southside history since Scott Strom in 1998 to have 4 straight 100-yard receiving games. Number 3, Kane Archer, senior quarterback for Greenwood, in a 50-13 win at Russellville, completed 22 of 27 passes for 235 yards and a touchdown. He also ran 13 times for 160 yards and 4 touchdowns. And a big key in that game for Greenwood was Braden Rennick caught 10 passes and a touchdown. He's the guy that came in. Champ Davis has been out the last 2 games. He went out in the Shiloh Christian game. He came off the bench, had a big game against Shiloh Christian last week, and then caught 10 passes this week off the bench for the Greenwood Bulldogs.
Hey, Leland, how many rushing, off the top of your head, how many rushing touchdowns does Kane Archer have now? Like 15?
It's probably 14.
I know he
think
had a
it's
5
14.
and a 4 now, so I mean, that's unbelievable. He might go 20.
Yeah,
He might go
that's
20-20.
He might do it. 2020 is one of those stats that boy, that's hard to do for a quarterback, mainly because teams want to keep their quarterbacks healthy. But Kane Archer is so good that when a play breaks down, he just he tucks it down and runs, and also design quarterback draws. He's a really versatile quarterback. Number 2, Bryson Moore for Lavaca in a 56-26 win against West Fork. He threw for 103 yards and 2 touchdowns. He ran for 103 yards and 2 touchdowns. One of the touchdowns was part of a 40-point second quarter for the Golden Arrows. He also caught 3 passes for 35 yards and a touchdown. He had 6 tackles, and he also intercepted a pass on defense. And of course, number 1, our River Valley Democrat-Gazette Player of the Week, senior fullback Andrew Burton, in a 35-24 win against Charleston, 30 carries, 193 yards, and 3 touchdowns. He also intercepted a pass late that squelched a Charleston drive, and he also had a sack for a loss of 10 yards on that same drive. So that's the top 5 performances of the last week in the River Valley.
This is Jeff Regan. This is NWA Top 5.
We're going to start off a little differently this morning. Not a football mention here. We're going to give a big shout out to Tegan Muldoon of Gravette, girls golf. Shot a 71 to finish the state runner-up at the 4A girls golf tournament last Tuesday at the Highlands Golf Course in Bella Vista. It is her second year in a row to finish as the state runner-up. She lost to a girl from Brooklyn, but I'm telling you, 71, that's a 1 under on that course with a lot of hills. That's just a great job by her. She came up short by 1 stroke. She is committed to play golf, Sydney, at Henderson State University. Number 4, I'm going to give a shout out to Aiden Lester, who on the road at Harrison went 20 of 26 passing for 253 yards and 2 touchdowns. He also rushed for a touchdown as Farmington Cardinals won big at Harrison and have a huge, huge task this week. So we'll see what the Magic Man can do this time. Number 3, I just label this one Fayetteville offense. I mean, 603 yards of total offense. We'll start with Hank Hendricks and Kenyon Johnson. Hendricks completed 35 of 47 passes for 464 yards and 5 TDs. Now, let me tell you this. In the fourth quarter, he was 11 of 11. When it counted the most, he couldn't miss. In the second half, I believe he was like 18 of 19, something wild. Great job by Hank Hendricks. He also rushed 54 yards and 2 touchdowns. Johnson, the other twin of Caleb Johnson, he caught 9 passes for 216 yards and 3 TDs. And really, I mean, there was a couple of them. Hank scrambled around and just threw it up, and then there was Kenyon there to make a catch for him. And I'm not going to forget about Katavian Taylor, 10 catches, 110 yards. What a big night he had. Fayetteville did a great job of rallying and getting back in that ball game and taking advantage of the opportunities that the special teams gave them. Number 2 is going to be the Rogers offense. So we're looking at Jeff Regan, Titus Kramer. They combined to rush for 377 yards and 4 TDs. Unbelievable. Regan had 267, like we talked about earlier, and the most carries he's had by far this year. He also completed 8 of 11 passes for 163 yards and 2 touchdowns. And then Titus Kramer, we mentioned him. He rushed for 110 yards, and he also had a 94-yard kickoff return for a touchdown early in the game. Rogers had 549 yards as a team. Number 1, it's the little guy from Bentonville West, V.J. Warren. So he darn near had 300 yards of total yards at halftime in the game against Springdale. Overall, he finished with 115 yards rushing, 99 yards receiving, and he returned the opening kickoff of the game, 96 yards for a touchdown. I can promise you Rodgers won't kick to him one bit this week for that very reason. It'd be a lot of pooch sky kicking and kicking it out of bounds because those kinds of plays are momentum swingers. So, man, this is really hard to narrow this one down again, Leland. It gets rougher and rougher every week.
Leland.
I agree. No, it is.
We're glad.
No, it is hard narrowing it down to 5, especially when we consider the other sports as well. Because right now we've got, golf postseason going on. Cross country is winding down. Just tremendous athletes. Get out and watch these kids play.
I didn't even think about my bonus pick here, but Gabby Bishop from Providence Academy, great job in the chili pepper.
Bonus pick.
I'm telling you, I mean, just a lot of great achievements happening all over Northwest Arkansas
Agreed.
and the River Valley.
Well, with that being said, we hope you enjoyed today's show and stay tuned for next week because we'll have a sneak peek of Rivalry Week.
All right, I'm excited. Let's do it.